So this is a quick review of how to factor trinomials with lead coefficient 1 and with lead coefficient greater than 1. So the first one that we're going to look at is lead coefficient of 1. So we have x squared plus 3x minus 18. So when you're factoring and your lead coefficient, so the number with the x squared, we know if there's not a number there, it's understood to be a 1. So what we're going to do for this is we're going to say what two numbers multiply to negative 18, our C term, and add to 3, our B term. So sometimes you can just see these, sometimes it helps to make a list of factors. So if I think of 18, 18 is 1 and 18, 2 and 9, 3 and 6. Okay, and so one of them needs to be negative because it's a negative 18. So if I were to make the 3 negative and the 6 positive, that would add to positive 3. So those are my factors. So this would be x minus 3 and x plus 6. And just a reminder, if you ever want to check to make sure you did that correctly, you can always FOIL this back out. So first outer inner last, so x times x is x squared, and then do x times 6 and get 6x, and negative 3 times x is negative 3x. You add those together and we get the 3x term, and then negative 3 times 6 is negative 18. So you can always multiply it back out to check to make sure, but you don't need to if you're pretty confident that you got the answer correct. Okay, so the next one is a lead coefficient greater than 1. We're actually going to do 2 of these. So if I have 2x squared minus 7x minus 15. So the way that I factor these is I take the outer two numbers, so I take the 2 and the negative 15 and I multiply them. So that's going to give me negative 30. So then I say, okay, what two numbers multiply to negative 30 and add to my middle term, negative 7? So negative 30, so that would be 3 and 10. And the 10 needs to be negative because it's a negative 7. So it'd be negative 10 and 3. And I'm going to show you 2 of these examples because what I will tell you, it's a helpful trick. If you have one negative and one positive, I would always put the negative number first because it's going to make your life easier. And you'll see on the next example when they're both negative why that is. Okay, so now I'm going to rewrite this as 2x squared. And now I'm going to use my two numbers that negative 7x breaks up into. So I'm going to write it as negative 10x plus 3x minus 15. So by doing that, now I can group the first two terms and I can group the last two terms. So then we pull out the greatest common factor of each parenthesis. So in this first parentheses, 2 and 10, we can take out a 2, and they both have an x. So we're going to take out a 2x, and we're left with x minus 5. Now the second parentheses, 3 and 15, we can take out a 3, and we're left with x minus 5. Now at this step, you know you've done it right if the two terms in the parentheses are the same. So then our final step is to group these. So this would be 2x plus 3 and x minus 5. So those are our factors, 2x plus 3, x minus 5. Again, you could FOIL this out to multiply together and see if it is equivalent to your original question. Okay, so that is that, and then we're going to do one last one with a lead coefficient greater than 1. So let's look at 6x squared minus 7x plus 2. So we're going to do the same process. So 6 times 2 is 12. Positive 12. So we know that because it's multiplying to a positive 12 and it has to add to a negative 7x, that means both terms need to be negative. So we think, okay, so 12 is 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. So it doesn't matter what order since they're both negative. So we're going to write minus 3, minus 4. Okay, so we have 6x squared minus 3x minus 4x plus 2. So then when we go to group, this is the part that you need to know. We can't have a minus in between the parentheses like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn that into a plus, and I'm going to put the negative right in front of the 4x. So then here, when we factor out from the first parentheses, I take out a 3x, and I'm left with x minus, and if I took out the whole term, I leave 1 as a placeholder. And then from the second parentheses, I want that first term to be positive, so I'm going to have to take out, sorry, I did that wrong on the first one. Okay, from the second parentheses, I'm going to take out a negative 2. So I'm going to take out a minus 2. That's going to change this to a positive 2x, and this is going to change this to a minus 1. So that's why when you do have a choice between a positive and negative number, when you're first finding these numbers up here, it's easier, makes your life easier if you put the negative first, because then you don't have to deal with this whole thing. But if you have two negative numbers, there's nothing you can do and you have to deal with it. Okay, so our final answer then, final factors would be 3x minus 2 and 2x minus 1. Okay, let me know if you have any questions.